Hello, I am Ian. Apparently the big questions in life are, what are we doing here? What is the meaning of life? Where do we come from? Are we alone in the universe? Is there a God? Is there life after death? What is it? Well, the answer is, we live in a created reality. There's a creationary source. That would be the God bit. And the earth is an experiment to create one of our bodies. Our bodies are the technology, the ghost in the machine idea, a spirit or a soul in a body. We're all sparks of the creationary source exploring a thought. We're an energy being made of plasma in a body made out of solids, liquids and gases. And plasma is the fourth state of matter, and the definition is it's a field of energy with a lot of electrons. So it's reality is electrical. The electric universe theory, that's it. Everything's vibrating in octaves, like music. And so we're an energy being made of radio waves and electricity with a bandwidth of frequencies in a physical body. Something like that. Well, let's expand on that statement a little bit. This solar system is an experiment in a full physical reality. The rest of the universe will be termed as semi-physical, and the full physical reality means there's more options for change, more possibilities, more variety. There's a bigger bandwidth of frequencies to work with. It's more physically dense. And the end goal of this solar system was, is it possible to create a vessel like one of our bodies in a full physical reality? Here on Earth we're calling that vessel a human body. So that's what it's all about. It's all about the vessel we're trying to create. It's all about the inner workings of our bodies, the human body, the human condition. It's all about us. And the evidence that supports that statement, it's quite literally everywhere, but it's in the message or the meaning, that's in the symbolism that's carved into the stonework on buildings, statues, monuments, fountains. It's in fairy tales, nursery rhymes, Christmas carols, old and new folk tunes. There's many a film tells a similar story, and it's in the language, it's in the names we call people and places. We've been singing it, saying it and praying it all of our lives, just nobody's told us what it's all about. We live in a created reality, and the earth's an experiment to create one of our bodies. So that's what it's all about. It's all about us. We'll get back to that. The other questions were, are we alone in the universe? No. The rest of the universe is teeming with life. And there was life on all planets in our solar system, but we had a solar system disaster. A couple of planets exploded. It was an accident, and it only just leaving Earth, the only planet with life on it. We'll get back to that. The other question was, is there life after death? Well, our bodies die, but the energy being that we are doesn't. We're all an eternal spark of the creationary source, exploring a thought, and the idea being that when this universe reaches its conclusion, there's nothing left to learn. The thought has been explored. This universe will be collapsed, and we all get returned back to the creationary source with the answer to the question that the Creator asked in the first place, which was, I wonder what would happen if I created a universe that explored the thought of freedom of choice. That means all options are open. There is only one limitation. You need an agreement. You need people's consent. There's no taking any freedoms away. If anybody's paying attention, that's not happening exactly the way it should be. You know, with death, doom, gloom, lies and deception everywhere, the fraudulent financial system that's used as the main mechanism of control, the control system. Wait, hang on a minute, I thought we were working on the thought of freedom of choice. Thoughts of control. Makes you wonder what went wrong, and how about it's not supposed to be like this here and everything's backwards. Well, isn't that the truth of it? So if we touch on that subject briefly, why is history such a mystery? There's a group been on the planet, you can trace them back about 5,000 years, and this group have went around killing all of the academics and burning all of the books. There's been a deliberate and systematic removal of all the information from the old world. History and science have been outrageously falsified, and layers of deliberately misleading information have been put in place in order to hide the truth. A little bit on the story that brings me here. In 2003, I'm singing in a band, making a living playing the local club scene, and I lose my voice and it just doesn't come back. The doctors in hospital don't know what's wrong, so I thought I would work it out for myself. Had an idea, started reading books. The internet flourishes nicely. I get to 2007, I'm on the internet researching health and wellness, trying to work out what went wrong with me, and I came to the conclusion that there was a big cover-up within the field of health and wellness. Things couldn't be this messed up without it being done on purpose. This is when I'm realising history and science have been falsified. I stumbled across a video called Strange Planes, which suggested the official story was a little short of the truth. Got to thinking, if that's a lie, what else is a lie? It's backwards on this thing, it's crazy. And although I hadn't found this book yet, this was the conclusion I came to. It was a bit of a revelation. Plenty of motivation to look into the situation. Got a little bit concerned about the nation and the wife and the Bens and the likes. I get to 2011, I came to the conclusion that everything was a lie, and the question became, where's the truth? And when I had found history was falsified, I had a really good go at finding that out. And in 2011, I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed. I'm thinking I'm just going to have to leave that for now, because I cannot work it out, I just don't know. And just as I'm thinking that, I'm in the back garden, I've got my cordless headphones on a YouTube playlist just clicking away. And this guy pops up, Chris Thomas. He gives a brief description of our true history. The funny thing was I'd heard the story, it all fit. It all made sense, and I've got that whoop-de-doo, I found it feeling as well. So I bought all of his books, read them over and over. I've been checking it since then. And everything I've been able to check checks out. The odds of it being wrong have become very, very long. It's just got to be right. Now, when I was checking it, what I found was a lot of great research and a lot of disinformation. What I didn't find was another guy. Chris is the only guy I found that gives you a big picture overview, takes you right from the start of the universe up until 2011, and does a pretty good job of filling in the detail along the way. The downside is the books are out of print, they're pretty rare, there's some on eBay and the internet, etc. But they're getting a little pricey. And finally, you find Chris's books are a mix of history and health and wellness advice. So as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We shall continue with that theme here. So a little bit on how reality is created, a little bit on how our bodies work. Let's tie it into some of the symbolism that's everywhere. And then a little bit of an overview on our history and a bit of the story where we come from. And another thing is, on a health and wellness front, there's a best way to walk. We live in a created reality. Our bodies are a design. This design has a natural counter-rotating spiraling motion that mirrors the way reality is created. There is a best way to walk. And this solves the back pain, joint aches and pains, the hip replacement, the knee replacement, the stuff that gets put down to wear and tear as we get older. It's the missing piece of the puzzle to the lose weight, get in great shape, fat loss scenario, more curvy flowing lines. It applies to any sport, any art, any craft, any trade, any movement. The movement trains in more consistently, takes less effort, repeats more consistently and takes less effort. And finally, this is a rediscovery of old information. This information was there and was taught, and the reason for that is it stops your body wearing out so quickly. So I've got a one-size-fits-all gentle stretching and flexing exercise routine you can put in your daily routine, with the intention being to train yourself into walk correctly. We'll get to that. Generally effing here for the use of the voice, singing and speaking. How to sing like a king or a queen. E, if you see what I mean. Apparently there's a legion of singers out there who've lost their voice, or it's not what it used to be, type of thing. Well, if I show you how it works and what to practice, you should get it back, and it should be better than ever. We'll get to that. Alright, so a little bit on how reality's created, a little bit on how our bodies work, and that's tied into some of the symbolism that's everywhere. So the symbolism simplifies down to three things. Something that represents the energy being that we are, and then we've got two nervous systems. One moves the muscles, the red stuff, and one does the sensing and feeling, the white stuff. Yeah? Let's have a look at that. In a Dan Winter presentation, he talks about two sets of counter-rotating spiraling vortices set at 90 degrees to each other. And you've got to think like wringing a cloth out here, you know, it's kind of counter-rotation, one spinning one way and one spinning the other. Which gives you the religious cross, which is pretty much everywhere, isn't it? Well, I would have said that's the symbol of the field of energy that everything's made from. So everything's a plasma energy being at first, yeah? So the creation of his source, and we're all sparks of the creation of his source. Our universal envelope, parts of the universe, galaxies, solar systems, stars, planets, one of us. Yeah, all the same shape, just different sized packets of the same shaped, consciously aware field of energy. But a lot of the time you see feathers or wings, birds, a snake, a serpent, a dragon. And we have two nervous systems. One moves the muscles, the red stuff. And notice that our muscles are chained together in layers. Another lucky dip, missed it. I was lying in bed one morning or one night, and I was doing a morning warm-up, and I came to the conclusion that I came to the feeling anyway that our muscles were chained together, and an internet search brought me to this book, Anatomy Trains by Thomas Myers, and sure enough, they're chained together. So the symbolism out there is something that represents movement or physical strength, something like that. And then we'll have a sensing and feeling nervous system, yeah, which is the white stuff. It's the facial web, it's the connective tissue, it's the meridian system. Now when you go doing the butchers and you see the cuts of meat, you know, the marbling and the steak, the red stuff and the white stuff. Bit of a better look at it here. So the top left, that's it pulled apart. And on the bottom there, that's it's a human thigh. That's the thigh bone there. See the layers of muscles that are chained together. And in between it, there's a connective tissue. It just wraps around all the muscles. It's just about everywhere. And if we magnify this white stuff, you find that it's tubes full of water, acting like fiber optic cables carrying light information around our bodies. Normally we have a pineal gland, a gland in the middle of our brains. It's designed to receive light. It's the lamp of enlightenment, or pine cones, the symbolism. So what is the white stuff? And it carries light as well. And the symbolism of the white stuff is it's a net, it's the endless web, it's a basket, water and knowledge, you find. So we're experiencing our physical body through the sensing and feeling nervous system. So that would be the knowledge bit, which is full of water. And trees, a lot of time trees are used as symbols to represent our nervous systems. We've got two nervous systems, so there's two trees, yeah? And so there's two trees. So the white stuff's full of water, and it's white. So Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow. Mariner, marine, Mary, water. And everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Well, everywhere that the water went, the white stuff's sure to go. It connects everything together. It's connective tissue. It's just about everywhere. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Now, if you look at the language, you would go to an academy to be an academic, which would be the Jackie bit. Also, you get the sun, another name for the sun. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack, jump over the candlestick. Light. And with Jill in the Gaelic language, you get water. So light and water, knowledge and water. The white stuff, the light stuff, and it's full of water. And we're experiencing our physical body through the sensing and feeling nervous system, which would be the knowledge bit. Got a bit of a spoiler alert going on here. But you know how Santa's got a red suit with white bits in it? The red stuff, the white stuff. And if you look into the language, I've noticed there's a code in the language. Well, our English language is a mix of quite a few languages, but it's based upon the Gaelic language. And what I've found is if you split the words up into how they sound and then look for the different definitions of the pieces of the word in a Gaelic to English dictionary, a pattern emerges and it works like a charm. Sometimes, but especially with the words from religion or spirituality, that type of thing works really well there. All right, Santa. San, you get holy, and water, you get water from a tap, so you get water, the holy water. There's a familiar term. Now, for decode the word holy, the letter H has been used, it's an aspirative, it's kind of been used to confuse the language. It's like, it's a Ollie, Y-I man, sounds the same, spelled a little differently. And remember, everything's backwards. One of the favourite tricks is inversion, so let's just put the letters the right way around. You get oil. And oil in the Gaelic language means learning, again. So water, learning, holy means learning. So the symbolism around Christmas then, it's a celebration of a yearly cycle of exploring the thought of freedom of choice on behalf of the creation of his source. It's the end of the year and it's the beginning of another year. And the symbolism there, though, it's talking about the inner workings of our bodies. We've got a Christmas tree. So trees are used as symbols to represent our nervous systems. We've got two nervous systems. There is two trees. Here we've got the tree, which would be the red stuff. And then the decorations are wrapped around the tree. And the decorations light up, which would be the white stuff, the light stuff. Normally an angel on top of it. An, G-L, an, annual, anniversary. It's a cycle. Forgot to put my glasses on. G, cognition or learning, and L for the electrical energy being that we are, the spirit bit again. So the cycle of the spirit, that's learning, an angel. About 20 years ago, I thought, well, if you're going to educate yourself, you've got to read the Bible. So it took us 10 years to read it twice. And when I got through the end of it the first time, I started to be able to decode some of it. And our Holy Bible was written in Gaelic, and it goes through several translations before it gets to English, and all the time they're trying to hide the truth. But some of it, it's talking about the inner workings of our bodies. It's talking about different emotional states and emotional pathways, and I have a couple of nervous systems. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, the serpents wrapped around the tree. So the serpent's the energy being that we are. Here's those trees again. There's two trees. There's a tree of life, the red stuff, and there's a tree of knowledge, the white stuff. We're experiencing our physical body through the sensing and feeling nervous system, which would be the knowledge bit. Yeah? And in this case, the Garden of Eden would be our bodies. Yeah? Our bodies are the garden. Also, you know, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's house is in a vortex. The house is another name for the spirit bit. So if you look at it like this, the garden's in the shed. No, hang on. The shed's in the garden at the back of the house. No. The house and the garden are in the shed, along with the kingdom. In the queendom. Unless my head's a shed and I've lost the plot. Why no? I am the head of the shed, king of the hill, top of the heap. How about the Lord's Prayer then, the Father, Son and the Holy Ghost? Well, I've already established that Santa's Father Christmas, so Father's the white stuff, the water, the holy water learning. The ghost bit, that would, well, the Holy Ghost, by holy means learning again, so it's the ghost that's learning. We're here exploring the thought. So the Son, by process of elimination, must be the muscles bit. Yeah, these, now some of the words in the Lord's Prayer in Gaelic, and if we translate them into English, the Father, you get the report on the news, and the Son, with two ends, you get a stout fellow. In this case, stout means somebody who's physically strong or thick set, kind of big bones, something like that. So skinny would be the opposite, I suppose. So what about Samson and Delilah? Samson had some muscles, didn't he? Sam, the son, and son, a stout fellow. And Delilah, you get the night. Yeah? And the Samson and Delilah story is Samson's hair would be the rays of the sun. It's daytime. Samson has his strength. Samson gets his hair cut. It's nighttime. Samson loses his strength. And then Samson's hair grows back. It's daytime again. Samson regains his strength. Yeah, he gets up in the morning, does a bit of stretching and a yawning. Well, he wants to be canny on because he's a big strapping lad, and all the walls might come tumbling down. You know, it's a daily cycle. It's the day, it's the end of the day, and it's the beginning of another day. Or it's, I say, it's the dawn of a new day. Strange plains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Jesus Christ, man. Generally effing here with this week's special guest, Old MacDonald. E-I, uh-oh, ooh-wee, 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 ah. Oh, I say, it's another day. All right, Jesus Christ, man. Well, the great spiritual teacher Jesus was a real guy. He was born in 6 BC into a bloodline of spiritual teachers, and his life purpose path was to put systems in place, kind of set the wheels in motion so humanity could be reunified. I would have said that. I would have said that's what's happening now. Only Jesus was born into a time of conflict where they're going around killing all the academics and burning all the books. So the things change a little bit. But the term Jesus Christ is kind of an occupational title, you know. It's a butcher, baker, candlestick maker. It's a job description. Jesus is another name for light, yeah, the sun, something like that. And the Christ would be, it's the energy being that we are, that's learning. It's like the Holy Ghost again. Our thoughts and emotions, yeah. Where this energy crisscrosses up the spine, you know, Christ on the cross, crisscrossing. And then it hits, after the 30, we've got 33 vertebrae in our spine. After the 33rd vertebra, it hits the pineal gland. The lamp of enlightenment, which is a gland designed to receive light in the middle of our brains. It's the lamp of enlightenment, or pine cones would be the symbolism. So the Statue of Liberty, we've got the thorny crown, 7 points on the thorny crown, 7 energetic centers that run up our spines, holding the lamp of enlightenment. These 7 energetic centers split off into 12 primary meridians. We're in the white stuff, the water again here. The lamp has a platform that, in the Statue of Liberty, the lamp has a platform that holds 12 people. You see what I mean? So anyway, lots of religious deities hanging about with trees. Buddha's sitting under a tree. Over here, the spiritual teachers were called Druids. Dru means oak and id means truth, true trees. Odin, the Norse god, is hanging from a tree, sacrificing himself to himself. So, just so happens the year 33 AD came along. And it just gave the psychopathic lunatics an idea, didn't it? You know, what year is it, Centurion? So they make a cross for them, hang them from a cross, and then make a nice hat for them with points sticking into the head, you know, thorny crowns, you know, rays of enlightenment coming out your head. Everything's backwards. You get the idea? Anyway, Jesus marries a lassie called Mary, another great spiritual teacher, has 2 sons and a daughter. She's expecting the second one at the time of the crucifixion. He cut down, doesn't die on the cross, he's cut down and they go to Egypt, and then they settle in France, where Mary remains home base and Jesus travels back and forth and becomes a spiritual teacher stroke freedom fighter. Dies in Palestine in 64 AD. What about the Lord's Prayer again then? You know, our Holy Bible was written in Gaelic, so that some of the terms in the Lord's Prayer are in Gaelic, and if we translate them into English, our Father who art in heaven translates to our sensing and feeling nervous system, or you get God. In this case, we are the spark of the creationary source. We are the Lord God. Heaven's your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good children go to heaven. That most high place. Some a little higher than others. Your head. And hallowed be thy name. Well, the letter H is an aspirative. Al, you get to nurture, and lo, you get water. So you're nurturing water in your head. That's where heaven is. Hello, head. Something like that. We're nurturing water anyway. Our daily bread, the daily bread was the things you did that day, like learning, knowledge, something like that. It's a bread basket. It's a basket that holds knowledge. And forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass. Live and let live. That's what after that. I've forgotten what it says now. Lead us not into temptation. Well, that half a tub ice cream was quite nice last night. And deliver us from evil. Well, yes, we keep away from the bad stuff. For thine is the kingdom, or the queendom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. And what do we say at the end of it? Amen. Am for water. And you get an Egyptian am on, you get the vowel interchangeable rule here. Am, water, on, light. It's that, the white stuff's the light stuff. So hallowed's a bit like our greeting hello. H is an aspirative. You get L for the electrical energy being that we are, and then low. We'll get water again. So even our greetings, knowledge in water or fire in water. What about well? The L from well. We, L, water. Hey. Water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. For God's sake, didn't drink the stuff with the tap from the kitchen sink. That stuff's only good for flushing the loo. So bottled water, water distiller. So the song When Santa Got Stuck Up the Chimney then? Well, that's about how you can get a blockage in your emotional pathway and your thoughts and emotions can repeat on you. Yeah? Santa's the holy water again, the water's the white stuff, water learning. The chimney would be the spine. You girls and boys won't get any toys, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all good children, go to heaven. Toy means, in the Gaelic language, it means silence or peace, rest. You know, this repeating of thoughts. What do you think? Give the kids some toys to play with to keep them quiet. Won't get any toys if they don't pull me out. We've got a blockage in your emotional pathway. This is the stretching and flexion routine. Well documented in the professional literature and from personal experience. What I noticed every time I contracted a particular muscle group, the same thought come into my head. Contracted the muscle, same thought. Contracted the muscle, same thought. Left it for a bit. Contracted the muscle, same thought. Which is flaming murder. Triggered by movement. You've got a blocked emotional pathway, and when you move the muscles, it kind of slightly opens it, and it releases the same memory. You know, water holds memory, something like that's going on, and it just doesn't clear, you know. So that's if that's happening, that's a stretching and flexing routine to open up your emotional pathways. And loss of orgasm, you know, loss of feeling when you orgasm, like there's no fireworks at the end of it. It kind of builds up and like dissipates. It's kind of what happened there. Knee toe curler. So from personal experience as well, that's your blocked emotional pathways as well, and that's as I say, several years of stretching and flexing to open the thing up. I found anyway. It's in fairy tales, nursery rhymes, Christmas carols, old and new folk tunes. Fairy tales then. Lots of fairy tales where the main character goes for a walk into a forest. Our bodies are we have our two nervous systems. It's an action and reflection system. You know, you move the red stuff and you experience that movement in the white stuff, action and reflection. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? It's the Snow White stuff, it's the light stuff. She's in a forest, the 7 dwarfs with all have a different personality or character, different emotions. Yeah, something like that. Goldilocks, golden rays of enlightenment, goes for a walk into a dense forest. There's the trees, our nervous systems again, and finds a cottage owned by 3 bears. If you follow the language again, in the Gaelic language, you end up with bear, you may end up with bio, meaning water. Yeah, Goldilocks and the 3 waters. Here in Susan's book here, The Power of the Chakras, the 3 rivers of life, the 3 bears, the 3 waters, 3 rivers, run up our spine, the Ida, the Pingala and the Shishumna. The sun and the moon there, yeah, one's hot, one's cold, the one in the middle's just right. You know that Rocky film where the Rocky 4 is it, where Rocky's getting 7 bells knocked out of him, and he's sitting in the corner. He says to Paulie, "Hey Paulie, there's 3 of them," and Paulie says, "Hit the one in the middle." In the where the Temple of Apollo gives you the name Paul, and you would apologise. Up, you fix and make proper, fix it with an up. All you've got great, high, grand, something like that. And low, water again. So we're fixing something there. Right, so we've done fairy tales, nursery rhymes, Christmas carols, old and new folk tunes. The Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea. So dragons and spirituality represents the energy being that we are. That's, you know, the symbolism. It's a serpent, you know, it's a snake, it's a serpent, it's a dragon. Sea, salty tears, the water again. And frolicked in the autumn mist. So AU, gold, and Tom, eminence, or golden eminence. Those autumn leaves of red and gold. And a land called Hollalay. H is an aspirative, all supreme, great, high, grand. La is a day, and lay is together with on a stream. Water again. Little Jackie Paper, you'd gone to an academy to be an academic. Paper, the vicar of Christ, the energy being that we are, that's learning. Loved that dragon Puff and brought him all kinds of fancy physical stuff. Just remember that dragons live forever and just not little girls and boys. Fairy tales, nursery rhymes, Christmas carols, old and new folk tunes. There's many a film tells a similar story. Right, The Wizard of Oz. It's full of it, that one. It's really good. All right, we've got the colours of the rainbow are sometimes used to represent these symbols, to represent these 7 energetic centres that run up our spines. Blues are at the top, reds at the bottom. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. So this fancy damn camera works if it actually... Let's have a look at that. So put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Yeah, follow the yellow brick road back to the Emerald City. Yeah. Another day, another dollar. Yeah, hopefully that's making a little bit of sense to you there now. There's still quite a bit more to go at. And after reviewing the tape, we're on about 37 minutes before I started this one, so this overview is going to need a part 2. And I thought I'd leave the symbolism in the Wizard of Oz and the stonework and the statues, the monuments, the fountains, till next time. There's quite a bit to go at there. And also I've got the correct walking mechanics. You know, I've got a gentle stretch and flexing routine, exercise routine to put in your daily routine to with the intention being to train yourself into walk correctly. And I was thinking of doing a video a day to keep the doctor away, to kind of work on a little bit every day with that one. We've got, you know, our muscles are chained together in 7 layers. So we've got 7 days in the week, 7 vowel sounds, 7 sages sailing on seas. Right, so we'll end this video on a little bit on how reality is created and a little bit on the story of where we come from. So let's take you back to this 2 sets of counter-rotating spiraling vortices set at 90 degrees to each other. It's the religious cross. It's the symbol of the field of energy, the energy being that everything's made from. So we have a creationary source. Around the creationary source there's a potential for 13 universes, all working on a different thought. This is our universe. Now, within our universe, there's an energetic frequency bubble around our solar system to support this full physical reality. And it's gated at the constellation of Orion and Alpha Draconis. So here's a couple of points to make. There's nowhere else in all of the universe that can provide life support to our bodies apart from this solar system. Yeah, we're not some backwater planet in the middle of nowhere just evolving from goo. It's the other way around. We're actually on the cutting edge of the universe's experiment. This is an experiment in a full physical reality. We are leading the way. The rest of the universe is watching and helping us, mostly. And And the other point to make would be that there's nowhere else in all of the creation that can give life support to our bodies apart from this solar system. But we've had a solar system disaster, so there's only this planet with life on that works. This is only this planet that can support life to our, give flame and hopeless, provide life support to our bodies. So we're not going into the stars as sparks of the creationary source. That's where we come from. We'll have work to do here. So how was Earth created then? The energy being that is Mother Earth puts herself in position in the solar system and then plugs herself into a universal energy flow of plasma, and then uses this, transmutes this plasma into solids, liquids and gases. Purple for plasma, red for rock, water's blue, the Earth's green. Anyway, so we'll start off with the planet 50 to 60% of the full size. Then the Earth's flooded with water. The Earth transmutes this plasma into water. Then the landmass, the rock expands, exposing the landmass. I was talking to the takeaway delivery guy one night, years ago now, when the subject came up, and I'd said I'd found our true history, and he says, "Do we come from the oceans or what?" And I was like, "Well, kind of." He says, "Well, my theory is that it's either evolution, God, or space aliens." I says, "You've got it." He says, "What are all of them?" I said, "All of them, aye." So reality's created, there's three things. The life force energy in all of the plants and animals, up to and including the hunter-gatherer phase of the Earth and humanity's development, they're run by the consciousness of the Earth. It's kind of a group soul going on. We're an individual energy being. The rest of it's run by Mother Earth. So that there's a conscious mind behind the whole thing learning, which would be the God bit, or in the case of Mother Earth, the Goddess bit. Are we alone in the universe? No, the rest of the universe is teeming with life, but it's mostly plant and animal life. Although there are another 13 beings in the universe that will be equivalent to us. One group in particular have become real masters at genetics, or the manipulation of energetic templates. So the plans, the instructions, or the blueprint to build a body is first created in an energy template in this plasma world again. The energetic template's then given to Mother Earth. Mother Earth imbues it with life force energy, bit of spirit or the soul in the body, if you like. And using the solids, liquids and gases, which is already transmuted from a universal energy flow of plasma, coalesces a fully formed being. Sexual reproduction's worked out later. It's I've got the feeling that sexual reproduction is only an option here in this solar system, as it's an experiment in a full physical reality, gives you more options for change. The rest of the universe, I think, uses this coalescing method, and the other alien races in the universe that will be equivalent to us, the ones with a body, they don't have children, they don't sexually reproduce. They've got advanced technology to regenerate their bodies, or another way of creating themselves a new body when the old one wears out. So I think, that the coalescing method was used here first, and then sexual reproduction's worked out. We have a galactic cycle of around about 26,000 years. There's a natural cycle of thirds embedded in the nature of reality. We've got 2 steps forward and 1 step back would be the seeing, or our awake and sleep cycle. The recommended 8 hours sleep, 16 hours awake. Thirds. the trial and error method known as evolution. All right, so life's seeded here using energetic templates. It's an experiment. You've got to set it away and see what happens. There's a learning. There's an adjustment to the energetic template. There is a reseeding. You've got to set it away and see what happens. It's an experiment. There's a learning. There's an adjustment. There's a reseeding, and this clicks around this 26,000 year active and passive galactic cycle until eventually 4.5 million years ago we've got several hunter-gatherer prototype humans. The Cro-Magnon man hunter-gatherer body type is the most advanced, so that body type's used, their development is accelerated, their energetic template is manipulated into one of our bodies. This happens on Atlantis 85,000 years ago. Now we have one body that works, but we'll have the instructions or the plans, you know, the blueprint, the energetic template to build the body. Now here's the thing though, when human beings first appear on this planet, we're in a higher state of being. We've got a 1500 year lifespan and greatly enhanced senses and psychic abilities. And in that higher state of being, we can use the energetic template and coalesce ourselves a fully formed adult body that's androgynous. There's no gender. The birth process hasn't been worked out yet. You know, we start off with using this coalescing method. A statement that may sound a little bit unrealistic, but there is a little bit of confirmation in the from the great Gnostic scholar John Lam Lash, his reading of the Nag Hammadi library, which is an ancient library found in Egypt in 1945, but it's untouched by the doctors that are trying to cook up the books. So you're trying to find a little bit of truth in there. And John states it does say something similar to that there, which is at least something. The population on Atlantis grows to 370,000. By now we'll have buildings have built, structures, research laboratories are built. And we are experimenting in a laboratory with a bacteria that changed oxygen into hydrogen, and somehow mistakes are made. The bacteria gets out on the planet's surface, and a bacteria that does that's no good here. So it's feared we could lose the planet because of it. So the decision's made to sink the continent into the magma core of the Earth. So it's gone. 150,000 survivors from Atlantis. They hide out in several pre-prepared underground tunnel systems. The Sphinx was a line, and it's the marker to the underground tunnel system that was created as a hideout just before the sinking of Atlantis. The Sphinx was built just after, when the atmosphere cleared and the survivors emerged onto the surface. There's a little bit of stonework dotted around the planet that's around about the 65,000 years old, and it's built by the survivors from Atlantis. Yeah, so underneath the Giza Plateau, there's a tunnel system that goes on for thousands of miles. And if the research I've done it's correct, you hear talk of a labyrinth guarding the entrance, buildings under there, fabulous statues carved into the walls. I mean, that would be a definite. And an underground lake, that type of a thing. Big complex designed to hold somewhere between 50 and 100,000 people. Previous to the sinking of Atlantis, the Earth's axis was straight. We've got a subtropical climate, very little variation in temperature all year round. It's like the golden age bit. And but the sinking of a continent causes the Earth's axis to tilt over a little bit more than it is now. The northern hemisphere flash freezes down the English Channel. In order for the Earth to straighten up, she needs to straighten up and find balance. So this is the Ice Age here, anyway. So over the next 10,000 years, continents sink and pop up all over the planet. Or land masses sink and pop up all over the planet. Continents are torn apart and thrown together, and mountain ranges are formed. We didn't have the mountain ranges then that we have now. The Alps weren't there, the Himalayas. The African Rift Valley's been torn apart, hasn't it? That Grand Canyon makes me wonder. Looks like it's been torn apart, doesn't it? Anyway, eventually all of the survivors from Atlantis die off. There's a caretaker group left on the planet. Humanity returns 20,000 years ago. Now we're still in a higher state of being. We're still coalescing ourselves fully formed adult bodies. The birth process hasn't been worked out yet. And we still have we start off with a 1500 year lifespan and greatly enhanced senses and psychic abilities. And we'll start off with the ability to build the pyramids or these ancient temple sites and buildings with the fabulous stonework that we can't replicate nowadays. We'll start off there. But due to a vibration mismatch with the base frequency of the Earth, the Schumann resonance of the Earth, and the energy beings that we are, will get worse. It's kind of causing us to age too quickly. We'll get worse. We knew what the problem was, we just didn't know what the solution to the problem was. So the first plan became, 18,000 years ago, we'll build the Great Pyramid. No, it's not a tomb. It's a health and wellness device. Remember, everything's backwards. You would lie in the sarcophagus and you'd be singing tones known as the Keys of Enoch. This would set up a standing wave vibration within the chamber and vibrate you back to full health. Works very well for many thousands of years. You find other pillars, due to the success of the Great Pyramid, other pyramids are built around the planet. There's only 6 sites colonized at first. Teotihuacan in South America. There was one in Greece between Athens and Crete some time ago, but it was lost to, the temple site was lost to earthquake and flood. Egypt, Esfahan in Iran, and Gar Yasa in Tibet. Over here in Europe we end up with Stonehenge, which was built a little later. Then other parts of the planet are colonised. We seem to build other temple sites, but we're changing the design, we're improving the design. But these temple sites only temporarily correct the problem. So over the next 10,000 years or so, lifetimes wither from 1500 years down to about 120. Along the way, we've lost a lot of our higher senses and psychic abilities. Things get so bad that 7,000 years ago, we came up with a plan to divide the energy being that we are into 2 and live shorter lifetimes, experiencing being human, while we worked on this vibration mismatch problem. We knew what the problem was, we still didn't know what the solution to the problem was. So the plan eventually became to live a shorter lifetime, as this shorter lifetime also avoided the issues caused by this vibration mismatch problem. It was a big problem. So a couple of points to make there. Then we're currently living in a reduced state of being. That ancient, highly advanced civilization that appears to have been lost was us in a higher state of awareness. We are still here. And the other point to make would be 7,000 years ago, when we came up with a plan to live shorter lifetimes, we'd already been back on the planet for 13,000 years, so some of the buildings were already there. Yet the plumbing's in, the drains are in, we've got some kind of electrical energy source. We have high society. Now, there's a lot of old world buildings that are there that are hundreds, if not thousands of years older than we are told they are. But they were built using tools and machines. And we can't replicate that type of stonework nowadays. But it's some of the buildings, it's when the stones become too big to be manageable, there's knee mortar used, the joints are perfectly fitted. We can't replicate that type of stonework nowadays. And I would estimate those buildings of that quality to be somewhere between the 8 and 18,000 years old, which takes into these World's Fairs sites, the old World Fairs exhibitions. We'll get to that in another video. And all of this is happening when, right where there's supposed to be an ice age. You know, the vast majority of the dates are wrong. You know, the ice age goes back to 65,000 years ago with the sinking of Atlantis, and it's not a natural cycle. You know, the stone dating techniques have been proven to be ridiculously wrong and should be ignored, and that leaves you with carbon-14 dating, which only goes back about 40,000 years, and the trouble is it's very easily contaminated, therefore it's easy to get the wrong reading, or even if you know the date of the piece, it takes you several goes to get the right reading. So it works, you know, but it has contamination issues, and so therefore it can't be trusted. You know, something's throwing the reading off there. It leaves you with the dates being really hard to check. Now, Chris dates the age of the universe a little bit under 14.4 billion years, and that's not too far away from the 13.8 that of the official story. But states that this solar system is only 65 million years old. The Earth's about 40. First life appears here around about 25 million years ago. And then we're into this clicking around the galactic cycle, till eventually we end up with the hunter-gatherers. Big cover up with the Industrial Revolution, normally dated somewhere between 1750 and 1900, somewhere about there. So a lot of buildings gone up with unbelievable construction times. Same thing with railway lines are going down a crazy rate of knots. It's quite obviously some of the buildings and the railway lines are already there. And we've got it looks like we've got trolley cars running around some of the city centres as well, and we have had for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And I tell you, another thing that's really well hidden from the history books is that the Dark Ages come along. And Chris dates this event at 538 AD, and things aren't going so well. This is when they're going around killing all the academics and burning all of the books. So the Earth gets a little depressed and the land mass shrinks a bit, and there's on average 200-foot sea level rise. We'll lose our land bridges then. It kind of gets roped in with the Ice Age and the Biblical Flood, but it's a separate event, and it's only around about 1500 years ago, so that's covered a lot of stuff up. And death, doom and gloom there, fire and brimstone, famine and plague. Between 30 and 90% of the population die off around the planet. It's a big catastrophe. So it could have taken a little bit of time to recover from that. You hear like talk of a reset, and that I hear the other guys talking about a reset. You know, well, I suppose we could say there was a reset when 7,000 years ago, when we began to live shorter lifetimes. And also then there's a big blip there, isn't there? You know, that's it seems to take about 300 years to recover from that. When I've been researching, there's just not a lot happens there. You know, things gone dark. So what about this vibration change malarkey then? We've had a vibration mismatch. You may have heard of a vibration change. I've heard a fella called David gone on about it for quite some time there now. Well, in 1996, the base note of the Earth starts to rise, slowly rise. The Schumann resonance of the Earth slowly starts to rise. Somewhere along the line we join in, and the vibration change is complete and in place by the time we click into the more renewing phase of the galactic cycle at the end of October in 2011. So what happened there is the energy being that we are in our natural energy being state, we're consciously aware packet of plasma with a bandwidth of frequencies. The lowest frequency was much higher than the base note of the Earth. But to become physical here on Earth, we needed to lower our vibration to that, and it ended up being incompatible. So we understand is now that the base frequency of the Earth has risen to about 14 hertz, and the energy being that we are has risen further to about 3,500 hertz. So we knew what the problem was. Apparently that was the solution to the problem. But here's another thing. Somewhere along the way there, a pulse was released designed to resonate with our bodies and bring back to mind unresolved issues. Some of you will have been having a little bit of emotional clearing going on. Yeah. So if you were like me, I had memories all over from all over my life coming back to me, back to when I was a little boy. Sometimes it was things that happened to me, sometimes it was things I observed as the world went by. But only this time I could see the truth, the lies and the reality of the situation that I didn't see before. And so that will have been happening to some of you, hasn't it? Some of you may have been sailing on through quite nicely because you've had nothing to clear. But if you've got any unresolved issues, this pulse has been released designed to to bring those situations to mind so they can be resolved. And with and what I noticed is it really got going in 2012. I was pretty mentally overwhelmed with it at times. It was really intense. But looking back, that was going on for quite a few years before then. It just seems to be that when we're fleeting into the more renewing phase of the galactic cycle and welcome along to the Great Awakening, if you see what I mean. Yeah, and with that situation, I think the idea is just the events needs to be recorded correctly, honestly. So you need to be honest with yourself, honest about the situation. You're looking for solutions to problems, win-win solutions if that's possible. A lot of the time it isn't. But what did you learn from the situation? What would you do next time? I think the idea is the event just needs recording honestly, and then you can get it out of your mind, therefore it's out of your body. Opens up, leaves more room in these emotional pathways so like more life force energy can flow through our nervous systems, which is a healthy healing thing. So that will have been happening to some of you, hasn't it? Or is it still happening? Is it cleared yet? A bit on the story that brings me here, a bit more on that. So in 2003 I lose my voice and I had identified the way I was walking was part of the problem. So after about 7 years I worked that out. To get about 2010 I've worked it out. In 2012 I've got my voice back. It's better than it ever was before. I can sing just about anything. And I've got all the high notes. I'm singing along with, I love Stevie Wonder stuff, and I'm singing along with him, dancing around the ad libs with him. I could never do that before. Things are going great. I've got a treadmill, bought a treadmill. I'm doing about an hour and a half a day on that. 5-minute spells. I'm feeling pretty bloody good. Yeah, but somewhere there, I kind of lose all perspective of time here, because somewhere there, I'm doing a stretching and flexion routine on the floor, and some vertebra in my lower back and clonk. And now, I'll carry old conjuncts. Now my back's killing us. It's really taking my breath away. Now at the time, I'm thinking, well, I've gotten the body part to move. It's just going to take a little bit of time for it to settle down. I'll strengthen up the muscles around it. I'll be back on track a little bit closer to the finish line. But that's not what happened. See, somewhere in there, I lose all perspective of time here. Somewhere in there, my left knee guns pop. Couldn't bend it. I'm on one walking stick. I just get my left knee bending again. My right knee guns pop. Can I bend that? I'm on 2 walking sticks. And everything just broke down from there. My voice went, my piano playing went, all my muscle memory went, my actual memory, my organisation, my plan, that went. My maths, my spelling, my ability to comprehend most things, all of that went. I've unblocked some emotional pathways, so I've got this horrible emotional pain and this repeating of thoughts triggered by movement, which would be the Santa got stuck up the chimney song again. The battery went off on the mic receiver. So like I was saying, I had this horrible emotional pain and repeating of thoughts, and also with the emotional clearing going on due to the vibration change. I'm completely mentally overwhelmed. Cannot deal with the outside world. I've just got to lock myself in the house. I lose a load of weight, and everything breaks down. It was just managing to get through the day myself. But by the time I got there, I knew what I was doing was working. So I kept going with the routine. I think it got worse for a couple of years, I think, and then, but I slowly started to get better. But I spent the next 10 years lying down, not knowing what day of the week it was. Everything turned into a Groundhog Day. I got locked in the loop on the edge of tomorrow. I've got no idea where that time went. I know what I did because I did the same thing every day, but where the time went, I've got no idea. Sat on the loo, read 100 books and pressed play on the internet, give myself an education. At least that went in. I found the books of Chris Thomas by then, so I went round checking that. And if I wasn't sitting in front of the computer, I was lying in bed with my cordless headphones on. Nothing better to do all day and all night but check it. So, like I say, everything I've been able to check checks out. But the other thing I did was I swung the golf club. I had a golf net in the house, and I've been studying the golf swing of Ben Hogan for the last 20 years. And if you know a bit about the golf, you might know what I mean. But Hogan's he's a legendary golfer from the 30s, 40s, 50s, and he's the player with the most accurate full swing from tee to green. He's the most accurate player. Stands head and shoulders above everybody else. You know, he wrote a very detailed instruction book about how to swing the golf club, yet nobody has been able to replicate it. So it's a big mystery. You know, there's a missing piece of the puzzle, or there's a secret, that type of thing. Well, the secret is that Hogan worked out the best way of swinging the golf club using our body's natural spiral in motion. So all of the angles work out. You know, the kind of the muscles are in the strongest point, the place of the best mechanical advantage, that type of thing. So, you know, all the angles work out. His swing's got an effortless flow about it. And so what I'm suggesting you do there is learn to walk correctly. You know, you train your body's natural spiral in motion in, and then your body can do the moves. You've got to get your body to do the moves, and then at least you're in with a chance of swinging the golf club like Hogan. See, I went from practicing an hour a day down to not being able to swing the golf club at all. Like one wince with a wedge and 7 putts, and that was the day's practice. But I kept going, and when I got to move a little bit, what I noticed was that every time I swung the golf club, I felt better. In fact, if I didn't swing it, I felt worse. Kind of keeps you swinging. And so the conclusion is then, Ben Hogan's golf swing trains in the body's natural spiral in motion. You marry that in with the correct walking mechanics, then your body can do the moves. And then, hey, if you're young, fit and healthy, I mean, come on. It's the movement of the lower body. So try and wrap part 1 up here. So we've had a vibration change. We've clicked at the more renewing phase of the galactic cycle. The vibration change was complete and in place by then. So we're welcome along to the Great Awakening. This is the 14th year. Well, after following the situation for years, you know, there's obviously a growing number of people who are realising that the system's broken, and you know, maybe those who've elected to run the country for us are at the very least incompetent, and you could use a little bit stronger language than that, and they should be removed, and a genuine government needs putting in place that's running the country for the people and not the power behind the throne, you know, the big business interests. So, and the only way to do that is get enough people of a similar mind so they can see the problem, and we can create a solution. It's as simple as that. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. If you can like, subscribe, thumbs up, share it with your friends. You know, it's good to know what we're really doing here. And the Keep Fit thing. And I'm going to I'll work on the Wizard of Oz, the symbolism in the Wizard of Oz and the stonework on the next one. I'll put some Keep Fit, I think I'll work on the Keep Fit one, the correct walking mechanics. So I will leave you with this thought. So if you imagine if you stuck one of our bodies on there. So we've got the main vortex is head to toe, and the smaller ones across, it's more elliptical. It's a bit like a rugby ball or an American football. So, you know, the arms are across here, head and toe up and down that way. Arms are spinning one way, hips and shoulders are going another way.